That ain't looking good. Beautiful. What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Life of a Jobbing Plumber. For those that don't know, I post on a Tuesday and a Thursday at approximately 6 PM, but you don't need to remember that. You just need to subscribe and ring the little bell on my channel homepage and get notified of every single video that I post so you never miss out. How many people know that off the top of their heads now? End of this video, we've got a guest video describing the customer or job nightmares. This week it's a really good one in my opinion, so don't forget to watch that at the end. Don't forget to give this video a like, do it now. Got multiple jobs in this episode, ranging from boiler repairs to toilet repairs, so bit of a mixed bag for you. Hope you enjoy it. Drop a comment down below. Let's get into it. Right, so this one was very unusual. The toilet was overflowing, but it wasn't a passing ball valve, or so I thought. I don't know if you can see it there. Bubbling up and spraying out a little fine spray just there. The ball valve is actually split. Mint. So we're going to get this isolated here. Get this cistern drained down. Siphon spring must have failed. A few pumps to try and clear as much water as possible. So I think it's going to be a job for a wet back. So as usual, using a Viva. This is just a plastic shank one, not a 4-in one. It's the cheapest one possible. Obviously we're going on a plastic speed fit hand tight connector. I've no concern about cross-threading it or anything like that. I'm just going to set the height now. You just pull that little clip out, spin the bottom, lower it down or up, wherever you want it, reset it, put the little clip back in. Easy as that, just for altering the height, depending on the height of your actual cistern. We won't be happy unless we're moaning. Obviously there's a little water line in the back of the cistern that I've set the height to there. Check around for leaks. Make sure everything's dry and obviously give it a flush. Or two. What's that? I didn't expect to be able to see anything, but you can see it there. The little split. Never known that before. Have you? Let me know in the comments. Right, so this one we've turned up to. No heating, no hot water. Got a flashing reset button. Is this flashing? Yeah, I'd say that's flashing fast, but it is on my phone. Oh no, it's not. Yeah, phone's showing it's normally on, flashing off, basically. So we're going to look at the instructions for a 30 SI and see what's what, because I've tried resetting it and creating a demand. I assumed it would be the fan, but as you can hear, it's not the fan. Straight to reset. Now before I take this cover off, I'm wondering if it's the flue stat. I think that's what it's called anyway. That ain't looking good. And that is coming from the AAV. Unfortunately though, that's not going to be the issue. Condensate feels pretty clear. I'm going to bridge out this, that's the plug stack there, bridge out that and see what happens. So just disconnected it off the plug there, got a link in. Plug it back in and reset it. Good. Hot water's come hot, but it's currently -2, so I'm just going to run the heat in 10-15 minutes whilst trying to clean up this AAB bit that's been leaking. They'll have to try and pick up the part for it. I can't leave it like that because obviously I've disconnected the safety device. Now let's see if I can get this out and they'll snap off. Come on, girl. Now get the flathead on that bung to try and pull it. I don't want it going into the sump because then I have to disconnect that and then try and fish it out, which is always a pain. Hopefully I'll be able to push the new one in without letting it drop into the sump because it ends up here on the condensate hose. You have to kind of push that, if I can show you, push that up and grab it from the top. Absolute pain. Right, I need to go and pick one up now. Right, I'm back. Half an hour later. Part number if anyone wants it. I could do without getting these advanced stock really. But yeah, we're just gonna lube up that washer, that O-ring, grommet even, and shove it in. Please don't go inside. Oh, it's dry now. I'm gonna do this with 2 hands. Of course I dropped it in. So I just slid that up there. That one re-greasing, it's looking beyond its best anyway. And somehow it managed to end its way actually into the sump of the boiler. At least I'll be able to hold on it from the inside now, doing it this way. I should have just done that in the first place. Idiot. Just do my safety checks now, make sure it's all up and running correctly and safely. Job done. Next. Right, we're back on this one. So I'm here to change the PRV and the expansion vessel hose. Alternatively, refit an external one. But what I want to do first is check the pressure in the vessel and get it drained off. Right, so we're not going to bother changing that hose inside because 1, it looks a ball ache, 2, I've brought an external vessel anyway, and 3, we've lost 0.25 of a bar since Friday and it's now Monday. So yeah, I'm going to put an external vessel on because I suspect that one is goosed. This is our new vessel and this is the bracket that I've bought for it. So basically them two just clamp down into the ring inside there. I'm going to measure from there to there. Put 2 screws in, obviously level, leaving them off a little bit because that bracket hooks onto them too. So a little bit of PTFE and paste on there. I'm going to get female iron to copper to 22mm. It's going to come out the bottom of here, straight across. A couple of clips, I think, somewhere in between that gap. Then I'm going to tee it into this return pipe here. I'm going to get the PRV out of the van first and get that changed. Old one out. Not replacing the whole thing, I'm just going to take it out of there and replace the head. A little bit of grease on, wind that back in. So that's the new PRV in now. It's inside the boiler completed. I've just put a couple of clips up this side from my pipe to go into the vessel. That's what I'll be on with next. There'll be a little bit of water in this because I've only drained to PRV level, but this is upstairs, so I'm hoping there's not going to be too much. Not bad at all. Can work with that. Let's take the PRV out because I found that little grey ring on the wash basket. Oh, you eagle-eyed viewers might have seen that before I put it back in. I've pressed that in now. It's going up there. Street elbow into that. It's a bit, well, if you look back on the video, you'll see that the return pipe coming out of the boiler is pissed, so it's making everything else look pissed. Should have put a bit drain off on it, but if you could see how far away the van is, you'd understand why I've not bothered going back. Let's clean that paste off that union. Fill her up now, I think. I'm sweating. Absolutely spot on. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but does the job. Gets this tenant up and running again. Mind you, they weren't actually broken down, just get topping up the pressure. So it's worth pointing out that that expansion vessel was a used one, just to try and keep the cost down for the client and the bracket. Hence why it didn't look brand new, and it was a bit oversized for the job. Don't go anywhere. Next up is the guest speaker. If you want to be featured in one of my videos, just send a video across via Instagram or Facebook or my email. It's in my channel homepage bio, and I'll add you to the end of the video. Don't forget to shout out your social media pages so people know where to come and find you if they want to. Catch you on the next one, guys. Thank you very much.
What's going on YouTube? So Danny, Mr. Central Heat King, has kindly asked me to share a horror story from my time in the plumbing and heating industry. So I've been doing this 15, 16 years. This was the first time it's ever happened to me, and it's certainly going to be the last. I won't make this mistake again. So what happened was I was given 2 days to rip out a cloakroom, basin, toilet, towel rad. I had to install all new and replace or install 2 new designer radiators in place of 2 standard rads elsewhere in the house. So I had 2 days to do all this. That did include digging up the floor, the screeded floor, to alter the pipework to suit, because they were obviously narrow radiators. So by 3:30 on the first day, I had replaced the basin, the toilet, and the towel rad in the cloakroom. Pipework had to be changed, this, that and the other, all had to be altered. So that was all done, not a problem. It got to, like I say, 3:30, and I thought, you know what, rather than being reactive tomorrow, let's just be proactive now. Let's dig up the around where the flow and returns are either side of the rad, so I know what I'm working with, etc. And I know I haven't got to dig up the floors tomorrow. That was the plan. So I started to dig up the left-hand side tail, which was the return in this case. I started to dig that side up. and found out it was a one pipe system. So if you don't know what a one pipe system is, it's basically just a continuous feed all around your heating. There is kind of no flow or return. It's just a flow, if that makes sense. It goes from the boiler back to the boiler again. Not the most efficient of systems, but they are still out there. But you can install radiators on a one pipe. It just takes a little longer for rads to heat up, as there's not a dedicated flow and return. Anyway, that could be another topic for Danny to talk about in another video of his. So I dug up the left-hand side. I then thought, right, let's move to the right-hand side, and this is where it went wrong. So I'm gunning out the floor with the SDS, and I've got the pointy chisel bit on the end. This room that I was in was a hallway, and the room had just been freshly painted in pristine white paint on the ceiling, and it was like a mustard yellow both walls. So it'd just been finished, and there's me going to fit a radiator. They were having the floor done after I was done doing what I'm doing with the radiator. I have then decided, right, let's dig up the right-hand side. So I started digging up the right-hand side, carefully trying to find where the pipe is that goes into the rad. And the SDS bit went straight through the centre of the pipe, and all this brown, rusty heating water. Bear in mind it was tank fed, not sealed. It still gives out enough pressure. All this water went straight up the wall, up the ceiling, and onto the wall behind. The house was a 3-story house, and I punctured through the bottom floor, ground floor. So I had all that pressure behind that pipe just bellowing out. It flooded the floor, so it got into next door to the Carndine next door. Luckily, there was no damage. However, at the time, all you can do is stop, stand, and kind of stare and go, "What on earth happened?" But yeah, the SDS bit. I wish I had the bit of pipe, but the SDS bit went straight through the centre of this 15mm bit of copper, and it was nowhere near where the pipe was. So, being a one pipe, it has to go back. So I found the flow where it was coming along and went up, but I wasn't expecting it to literally loop back right where I was chiselling. I thought it carried on into the next room. It didn't. It looped round, and that loop is where I went through. So safe to say, if you're ever digging up a one pipe system, or you're trying to alter anything to do with the one pipe system, or any pipe work in general, just be careful. Yeah, I luckily for me, the customer was good as gold about it. They totally understood, helped me clean up. Like I say, no damage done. It just needed a little bit of redecorating. So I did offer to do, but they did it anyway that night. I came back the following day, altered the pipe work, fitted the rads. Everyone's good as gold, but that's my horror story. Anyway, enjoy, laugh at me, all you will.